What if the next interstellar visitor to our solar system isn't a tiny rock, but an object the size of a city, and it's heading our way? A chilling update on a mysterious object dubbed 3I Atlas has some of the world's top scientists whispering the word artificial. This isn't a comet. It has no tail, it's bigger than Mount Everest, and it's behaving unlike anything we've ever seen. Is this the event that changes human history forever? Let's explore this together.
Comet Atlas Mystery.
Before we get to the terrifying new object, let's talk about the original comet that put the name Atlas on everyone's lips. Here's why it matters. In late 2019, astronomers discovered Comet C 2019 Y4, also named Atlas. It was on a trajectory to become one of the most brilliant comets in decades, potentially reaching a peak magnitude of -5, brighter than the planet Venus. The hype was real, but as it neared its perihelion of just 0.25 astronomical units, about 23 million miles from the Sun in April 2020, it did something completely unexpected. It crumbled. Astronomer Quanji Ye of the University of Maryland, using the Hubble Space Telescope on April 20th and 23rd, watched as the comet disintegrated into a cloud of over 30 distinct icy fragments. Another study by astronomer Michal Drahus concluded the comet's nucleus was spinning so fast, likely with a rotation period under 24 hours, that centrifugal forces simply tore it apart before it could put on its show. This event was a stark lesson for astronomers. It showed that even seemingly powerful comets can be fragile and unpredictable. The mystery of the original Comet Atlas primed the scientific community for weirdness, but it was nothing compared to the new object that would share its name.
The Wow Signal.
What if this new object, 3I Atlas, isn't sending a message, but is the message? The transcript draws a spooky connection between this new visitor and the single greatest mystery in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. On August 15, 1977, astronomer Jerry R. Amon was reviewing data from Ohio State University's Big Ear radio telescope when he found a signal so powerful, so clear, that he circled it and wrote, "Wow." The signal lasted for exactly 72 seconds, came from the constellation Sagittarius, and was broadcast at 1,420.4556 MHz. That frequency is sacred in astronomy. It's the natural emission frequency of hydrogen gas, what physicists Philip Morrison and Giuseppe Cocconi called the universal calling card for any communicating civilization back in a seminal 1959 paper. The signal's intensity was over 30 times the background cosmic noise, a massive signal-to-noise ratio. And then, it vanished. In the 45 years since, despite over 100 dedicated searches of that same sky patch by scientists including SETI Institute senior astronomer Seth Shostak, it has never been heard again. It remains a profound cosmic question mark, a potential missed call that makes the arrival of a massive, silent physical object feel like the other shoe is about to drop.
Meet Avi Loeb.
When an object as strange and massive as 3I Atlas appears on the scene, you need a scientist who is not afraid to consider the impossible. Enter Avi Loeb, the former chair of Harvard University's Astronomy Department and the Frank B. Baird Jr. Professor of Science. Loeb is not a fringe theorist. He's one of the most prolific cosmologists of his generation, having authored or co-authored over 800 scientific papers. He became a household name for his bold stance on our first interstellar visitor, Oumuamua, arguing in his 2021 book Extraterrestrial that the most logical explanation for its bizarre behavior was that it was an alien artifact. He has consistently criticized the scientific mainstream for what he calls a failure of imagination. To back up his words, in July 2021 he co-founded the Galileo Project with entrepreneur Frank Lockien. This is a privately funded, systematic search for physical evidence of alien technology, aiming to get high-resolution data on objects like 3I Atlas. With a 7-mile-wide object now in the mix, Loeb's provocative questions have become more urgent than ever. He forces us to ask, are we so afraid of the answer that we refuse to even consider the possibility of an artificial origin?
Oumuamua discovered.
Before the alarm bells started ringing for 3I/Atlas, there was a dress rehearsal that broke all the rules. On October 19, 2017, Canadian astronomer Robert Warwick, using the Pan-STARRS 1 telescope in Hawaii, spotted a faint object moving so fast and on such a strange path that it had to have come from another star system. It was designated 1I/2017 U1 and given the name Oumuamua. It was our first confirmed interstellar visitor, traveling at a blistering 196,000 miles per hour, about 87.3 kilometers per second. At its peak, it was on a hyperbolic trajectory with an eccentricity of 1.2, meaning it was moving too fast to be captured by the sun's gravity. Its discovery was a stunning confirmation that objects from other stars wander through our neighborhood. It had already passed its perihelion on September 9, 2017, at a distance of 0.25 AU, and its closest approach to Earth on October 14 was about 0.16 AU, or 15 million miles. The discovery, as noted by NASA scientist Davide Farnocchia, officially opened a new window onto the formation of other solar systems, but it also opened a Pandora's box of questions that we are still struggling with today.
Strange behavior.
Here's where the mystery of interstellar objects truly begins, and it all started with Oumuamua. First, its light curve was bizarre. As it tumbled with a rotational period of about 7.3 hours, its brightness changed by a factor of 10. A team led by astronomer Karen Meach concluded this meant it had an extreme shape, at least 10 times longer than it was wide. But the real smoking gun was its movement. As it flew away from the sun, it accelerated. A team led by Marco Micheli, of the European Space Agency, confirmed this tiny, but statistically undeniable non-gravitational acceleration of about 5 times 10 to the -6 meters per second squared. Comets do this when heated gas shoots from their surface. But the Spitzer Space Telescope, in an observation campaign led by astronomer David Trilling, stared at Oumuamua and saw absolutely nothing. No gas, no dust, no tail, placing an upper limit on dust production at less than a few milligrams per second. It was getting a push from an invisible force. This strange behavior is now being seen in a different way, with 3I/Atlas. While Oumuamua was strange for moving without a visible tail, 3I/Atlas is strange for not having a tail when its immense size says it absolutely should.
Light sail theory.
If Oumuamua wasn't a comet or an asteroid, what was it? This is where Avi Loeb, along with his Harvard colleague Shmuel Bialy, proposed a radical theory in a 2018 paper in the astrophysical journal Letters. They argued that Oumuamua's mysterious acceleration could be perfectly explained by the pressure of sunlight itself. For this to work, the object had to be incredibly thin and lightweight, with a large surface area, essentially a sail built to be pushed by light. They calculated its thickness would need to be less than a millimeter, with a very low area-to-mass ratio. Its density would have to be around 0.1 grams per cubic centimeter, far less than that of a typical icy comet, 0.6 grams per cubic centimeter, or a rocky asteroid, which is over 2 grams per cubic centimeter. This light sail is a technology that humans are actively developing for interstellar travel, most notably through the Breakthrough Starshot initiative, for which Loeb chairs the advisory board. The stunning implication of their theory is that a light sail cannot be natural, it must be engineered. It established a critical intellectual framework. When faced with an object that defies all natural explanations, an artificial origin must be considered a scientific possibility.
Universe age debate.
The arrival of something as seemingly impossible as 3I/Atlas is made more plausible by a simple fact: our entire understanding of the cosmos is currently being rewritten. For decades, the age of the universe was confidently stated as 13.8 billion years. But the James Webb Space Telescope is now sending back data that, well, challenges this fundamental number. Astronomers like Rohan Naidu of the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics have used the JWST to identify surprisingly mature and massive galaxies at a redshift of 13. This means we're seeing them as they were just 330 million years after the Big Bang, far too developed to fit our current models. This data, some from the Cosmic Evolution Early Release Science, or SEERS survey, has led some physicists, like Rajendra Gupta of the University of Ottawa, to propose the radical idea that the universe could be as old as 26.7 billion years. This ongoing debate, fueled by JWST's principal investigator for extragalactic deep surveys, Stephen Finkelstein, reveals a crucial truth: our cosmic knowledge is still in its infancy. If our most basic timeline of the universe could be wrong, then, honestly, our assumptions about what is possible within it are also on shaky ground.
NASA spy agency.
If a 7-mile wide object of unknown origin were on a path through our solar system, who would be in charge of the response? While we think of NASA as an agency of peaceful exploration, a 2020 executive order quietly reclassified some of its functions to include intelligence, counterintelligence, investigative or national security work. While NASA Watch editor Keith Cowing noted this was largely a bureaucratic move related to federal labor laws, it highlights a deep, underlying reality. NASA has long collaborated with the Department of Defense and the National Reconnaissance Office, or NRO, which gifted NASA 2 Hubble-class spy telescopes, each with a 2.4-meter primary mirror, in 2012. This collaboration, often managed by former NASA administrators like Charles Bolden, means that in a first-contact scenario, NASA's assets, from its worldwide deep space network to its fleet of planetary probes, would instantly become the front line of global intelligence gathering. The line between pure science and national security would evaporate. That quiet reclassification is a reminder that governments plan for contingencies we aren't told about, and when faced with a visitor like 3I/Atlas, NASA's mission could shift from exploration to defense overnight.
Interstellar visitors.
For centuries, we thought our solar system was an isolated island. We now know it's more like a busy port of call. The discovery of Oumuamua in 2017 was the first confirmation. Then, just 2 years later in 2019, amateur astronomer Gennady Borisov discovered a second interstellar visitor, 2I/Borisov. But Borisov was different. It looked and acted exactly like a normal comet, with a visible gas and dust tail, and a nucleus estimated to be about 1 kilometer in diameter. This discovery was crucial. It showed that other star systems produce normal comets just like ours, which only made Oumuamua's weirdness stand out even more. Now, with the potential discovery of 3I/Atlas, we are entering a new era. The Vera C. Rubin Observatory, once fully operational, is predicted by its director, Jelko Ivezic, to find dozens of these interstellar objects every year. Yale astronomer Gregory Laughlin has calculated that trillions of such objects are likely roaming our galaxy. Most will be rocks, but if even a tiny fraction of 1% are probes, our solar system could be getting visitors on a regular basis. We just never had the technology to see them until now.
Humanity and war.
The appearance of a colossal object like 3I/Atlas forces humanity to look in the mirror, and the reflection is not flattering. How would we react? This question brings us to the Fermi paradox and the chilling concept of the Great Filter. The paradox asks why, given the probability, we haven't found any other civilizations. One of the most terrifying answers is that civilizations destroy themselves before they achieve interstellar status. This self-destruction is known as the Great Filter, a term coined by economist Robin Hanson in 1996. Carl Sagan often discussed how a civilization's technological mastery of weapons could be the self-imposed limit. This is explicitly quantified in the Drake equation, formulated by astronomer Frank Drake in 1961. One of its key variables is L, the lifetime of a communicative civilization. With a current global arsenal of roughly 12,500 nuclear weapons, the value of L for humanity remains terrifyingly uncertain. The idea that a civilization can transcend its tribalism is the ultimate leap of faith. 3I/Atlas isn't just a test of our science, it's a test of our maturity as a species. From a 7-mile wide silent anomaly to the bizarre precedent set by Oumuamua, the evidence is mounting that we are entering a new era of astronomy, one where we must be prepared for anything. The object known as 3I/Atlas represents the greatest question ever asked. Are we alone? Whether it proves to be a natural wonder or something far stranger, its presence in our solar system is a humbling and perhaps terrifying reminder of just how much we have left to learn about our place in the universe. The mystery is just beginning, and the next piece of data could change everything we know about our reality. What do you think 3I/Atlas could be? Let us know your theories in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more explorations into the final frontier. Thanks for watching Sci and Why.